We are live. Welcome, everybody. Whether you're on our YouTube channel, thank you for joining us, or if you're on Facebook live with us at the Nerd Entertainment Network Facebook group. Thank you guys for joining us tonight for an episode of Beyond the Throne, episode 3. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, the Z-Man, Zaddeus Smith. How's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. Hi, everybody. It's me. Usually the Z-Man, Zaddeus Smith. But tonight, again, just for tonight, I'm Zaddeus, the Blackheart Smith. And if you watch the episode,
Nice.
you know what we're talking about with hearts. So.
Hell yeah. All right, Z, what an episode 3 of House of the Dragon. I really, really loved this episode, man. I think what's great about this show is it has a perfect balance to me of the great action and war scenes that Game of Thrones is known for, but also sprinkling in what is the best part of Game of Thrones to me, which is the actual Game of Thrones, the political scheming, backstabbing, little finger-ish moments that we'll definitely talk about. But it's a perfect mix of that because we got, in this one episode, we got some really beautiful, violent war scenes. We also got some really good character moments and some really great scheming from people who are aiming to get that throne. So Z, I gave my thoughts. Tell us your thoughts on this episode.
I wish I felt as high about this episode as you do.
Oh.
This so far, even though it's only been 3 episodes, is my least favorite episode. And I think that's because of, and I think I'm actually starting to feel the effects of the time jumps and stuff and the timeless, because I really wanted more of a follow-up to what happened at the end of last week. And even though we kind of knew where we were going with this episode, I was kind of hoping to get a little bit more of an immediate follow-up. And we'll discuss how long this time jump was, but again, I like the episode, and I like the character moments in here were great, and especially that ending battle. But it's just that it left me wanting a lot more of what happened in between this time gap. And I see how we got from here to here, but I would love to see all the stuff that happened in between.
Yeah, see, to me, the time jumps really don't affect me that much, only because I knew from the beginning that we were going to get years of time jumps ahead of time, so I was preparing myself for it. I will say they did it better than I expected them to do, because this takes place 3 years after the effects of last episode. But to me, they gave me enough to be like, okay, years have passed, but it doesn't feel jarring, at least to me. It feels like I can watch episode 2 and episode 3 and it still be connected because of the characters, of their development, of how, yes, years have changed, or years have gone by, but they slightly feel like different people, but they still hold true to who they are. You know, like the king is always conflicted, which I love that Viserys is. He's not a king who knows what he's going to do, headstrong, and does it. He's a king who always looks at both sides of the coin, the 50-50 coins, some may say. But, that was him in episode 1, and that's him in episode 3, even with the 3-year time jump. To me, it doesn't feel as jarring as if, say, 3 years have gone by and the king is a completely different person. That would have felt a lot more jarring than just to keep him the same, but have more development with Rhaenyra, with Daemon, and we get to see the effects that the years have had on them as they were growing up, more than the king, who at this point should be saying pretty much in the same mindset going forward.
Even though the king has had some physical differences over in these past 3 years,
I didn't notice that. Yeah,
I only noticed it on my second watch stream. Like, oh my god, it's completely gone. But
so
the physical differences are I definitely see, especially with Allison. But I really would love to see the more direct, immediate effect of, well, you're about to marry my best friend, because we see Rhaenyra leave the small council at the end. But I would really love to see any kind of discussion that was had between Viserys and her, and especially between Alicent and her, because in my mind, I'm not even sure if they've spoken from the moment they left that small council meeting to that moment where she's at where she's at the werewolf tree. It's like, is this the king's wish, Your Grace? Yes, and then fine, I'm gone. So I'm not sure
Yeah,
how fractured that really. I can kind of tell that it's been bad, but I would love to see it, especially given how close they were in episode one. I would love to see the decline of that relationship, and even though hopefully it'll maybe build up in the future, but we don't know. There's something episode four. I think is going to be very interesting when it comes to that too.
oh yeah. So I will let you know, Z. I have not watched the upcoming
Hmm.
previews because I kind of want to stay surprised going forward.
Makes sense.
But if you're ready, I do have some notes, so I'll bring up a situation and we can talk about it back and forth. All right.
Let's
So
go.
we open up on the stepstones, the bridge between the 9 free cities of Essos and Dorne. Crafteater is torturing a Valerian soldier. The soldier refers to Kragus as a betrayer. Very interesting way to start off because one, it's violent as fuck.
Yes, it
He
is.
puts he puts like a what is it like a stake through his
Yeah.
hand with a hammer.
Mhm.
You see it go straight through. You see how vicious Crafteater and his army really is in what 2 or 3 minutes that they're on screen. You really get how these years have gone by, but the threat has still remained at a high level.
Yeah, and it's kind of sets in the fact that even though we're discussing it a little bit, but just of how much more powerful the craft feeder has become in that 3 years. Because I feel like if it had been snuffed out in the beginning, we may not have gotten to this point. But because it was a wound that was able to fester, kind of interesting, but was able to fester over these 3 years, the craft feeder just amassed more and more power. Because I think they even mentioned that he had a bunch of cell swords with him and stuff
Yep.
from over the for the east. So like, it's just visceral. I won't say thankfully it's not as visceral as like we saw with the crabs actually eating people last episode, but it's amazing, and especially given of how our friend comes and kind of quote unquote saves the day a little bit.
Yeah.
But
So I actually have that next on the notes, still in the same scene. Prince
mm,
Damon rides in on his dragon, killing the soldier in the process, showing that Damon doesn't care for his men, only victory. When Crafteater shoots Damon, it is shown that his dragon is affected as well, showing the stronger connection between the Targaryens and the dragons.
mm, yeah,
Go ahead,
and
T.
it really was. It really did. I thought that was very interesting. The fact that like it felt like when Karatzis was taking the arrows at first, it didn't seem to affect him, but like you said, when Damon took that arrow to I think his right shoulder or something like
His
that, or
shoulder, yeah.
yeah, it's like that's when Karatzis like made out that little squirrel too, and it's amazing how their connection is just tight like that. It's almost better than well maybe not Drogon and Daenerys, but it's kind of better than Daenerys and Viserion and Rhaegar because I feel like
Yeah.
those were the two redhead stepchildren. But I feel like this is a good type of relationship. Actually, probably better than Drogon and Daenerys because Drogon was kind of an asshole at points. But
Yeah, he was.
correct
But
seems to be right there with his writer.
yeah, but there is a line in one of the novels, and this is not a spoiler, but this just it adds some detail to this, where it
Mhm.
says that they don't understand the connection between a rider and the dragon, but that they have figured out that the dragon can not only feel what the rider feels, including hatred, sadness, but including pain. When they're injured,
Mhm.
the dragon feels some sort of injury as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't know that myself, but it makes sense, especially in regards to this thing.
Yeah,
Give especially now that I'm thinking about it, I'm glad it's kind of explained in this. Well, you've told me that because it makes this scene a lot more comprehensible. Because again, I can't help but to think of how Daenerys was with her dragons. Like I feel like they kind of left that on the cutting room floor. But I mean, I feel
Yeah,
like Daenerys felt it whenever her dragons would like fall ill or whenever they. But other than that, I feel a real connection between Caraxes and Damon, and actually between Cyrax and Rhaenyra, especially
Rhaenyra.
in that first episode, like how I'll mention how when Rhaenyra said Dracarys, it's like Cyrus was like, "Wait, this is your mom? Like, you
Are
sure
you
you don't want
sure?
to?" Yeah, you sure? Okay, fine. So it's like the connection between.
Yeah,
I do like the fact that the connection between the dragons and the Targaryens right now are a lot better than I've known them to be. Are a lot deeper.
which is like a great thing about focusing on a family like the Targaryens. One, they're known for their dragons, but
Mhm.
you also like. I feel like watching this show is only going to enhance Game of Thrones with Daenerys and the dragons, because I feel like now that we see in this show the connection between a dragon and its rider, I feel
Mhm.
like now that's going to lead to be like, oh, that's why the dragon does what he does, or that's why he feels what he feels in Game of Thrones when it comes to Daenerys, because now we have that connection of okay, it's House of the Dragon, so
Exactly.
it feels more connected now.
I hope so. I hope so. And it will be very interesting to rewatch Game of Thrones after. I won't do it after this season because, of course, we know we're gonna get season two. But
Season two,
once this series is done, I'll probably go and do a whole rewatch of Game of Thrones myself.
yeah. All right, so back at King's Landing, 3 years have passed since episode 2. Queen Alicent and King Viserys have a son named Prince Aegon II.
Hmm.
We
Second of
see
his name.
Yep, the second. So we see Otto Hightower's older brother, Lord Hobart Hightower, trying to convince his brother to have Viserys name Aegon II as his new heir instead of Princess Rhaenyra. Again, the Hightowers are the little fingers of this series.
Yeah, but and I found this very interesting because while again I have been thinking of like comparing Otto to like being the Jafar, the little finger of the series, but here comes Otto. I mean, not Otto, Hobart, who we only saw in episode one, I believe, when he actually bent the knee to Rhaenyra. He was one of the ones
Yes.
that bent the knee to Rhaenyra. It seems like he's more the Jafar type of. He's the one that's kind of whispering in Otto's ear because Otto's like, well, Viserys is named the princess as his heir. I don't know if that's ever going to change. We have it just going to be, but then it's actually Hobart's the one. Well, it's up to you to change the king's mind. So that's your job. So it's fine. It seems like while it felt like Otto was the real mastermind this whole thing. Maybe actually Hobart is the one that we need to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, which gets me wondering, like how big of a part is the Hightower is going to have, especially with the big time jumps.
Mhm.
But what's cool about that is now I'm not really questioning, because last episode I was questioning myself of if this was part of Allison's plan the whole time.
Mhm.
But what's cool about this episode is I feel like it's not, because we do go into the scene with Allison and Renara sitting by the tree, and we'll get to that in just a second. But I feel like there's a lot of stuff there that gets me on Allison's side of like, okay, I can trust you right now. But with Game of
Mhm.
Thrones, you can't trust people for that long before they end up stabbing you in the back. But next, we see other houses in this episode, including Tywin Lannister, who informs the king that Crabfeeder is looking to hold a siege of Bloodstone, and his twin brother Jason Lannister, who the king is debating on giving away Rhaenyra to. Tywin tells the king that since Crabfeeder and his men are in a cave on Bloodstone, they are impervious to dragon attacks.
Man, I don't know if it's just me or if you heard this or if anybody out there actually felt this way too. But I swear, as soon as I saw Tylen, I didn't know who he was. Like, because he was like you said, he was trying to get the urgency of the king and everything. But as soon as I saw his twin brother with the coat of gold, it's like the Reigns of Casimir just start playing in my head. I'm like, Oh my god! And I swear I kept hearing it throughout this episode. I'm like, wait, is my mind just? Am I like automatically every time I see a Lannister, I'm just being conspiracy theory? Like, am I hearing it everywhere? But I would swear I heard the phrase of Casimir throughout this episode. But yeah,
Yeah, so I believe Tylan and Jason are ancestors
oh
to
yeah, Cersei and Jamie.
Cersei, Jamie. Yeah, and by the way, Jason looks like he could be like an ancestor to Jamie Lannister, doesn't he?
He does. He looked a lot like Jamie as well. And then Tylan, it almost made when I realized they were twins. I'm like, I should have known he was a Lannister. Tylan, Tywin, like
Tywin.
it just Tyrion, even though it just fits with no Lannister Creed. But I thought it was very cool because I think we had saw a little bit of the Lannisters in episode 1, but it was like kind of a blink and you missed it moment.
Yeah.
This actually this scene actually said, okay, these are some major players in the game because I can't remember what position he was, but Tylan is actually on the small council for the king. So
Yeah, I want to say advisor, but I could be wrong.
yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe Master of War, if there's a such thing as a Master of War. If somebody out there tell us if there's a role as Master of War, so
I will say
making that up.
Before I get further into this, I want to give thanks to the person who helped me with these notes. It's a YouTube channel called Thanks Story. I watch all his breakdowns for these notes, so thank you so much for helping us out. So thoughts on the crab feeder and his men in the Cave of Bloodstone being impervious to dragon attacks?
I just think it's smart. It's smart by thinking about the craft figure, and I would say this actually made me really interested more about the craft figure. Like, I wonder what is his deal, because again, that guy earlier had called him, I think, your bastard of a father and your whore of a mother.
Or a mother, yeah.
Yeah, Prince Drahar. I'm like, does he actually have a bigger role in this whole Targaryen Civil War, or in this battle of like the future battle of the Five Kings? Like, who is his ancestry? What will we know more about him? Well, we'll get that later, man.
We'll get to that a little bit later.
But I do think it was a very smart idea, and again, I completely think Homeboy has great skill. I think we talked about that last season. We touched on that last episode, but it seems like he was a very smart, I guess, warrior general. So like, it would have been it would be nice to know more about who he is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So if you're ready to move on to the next notes, this is the Rhaenyra sitting on the same tree her and Alicent were in episode 1. Love the callback to episode 1, by the way. She's reading a book, listening to a troubadour sing when Alicent comes to get her for the royal hunt. By the way, the song he's singing, I believe, is also a reference, according to what Thanks Story said, it's a reference to episode 1, the queen that was on the boat that Alicent is quizzing Rhaenyra on it from the book under that same tree.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't know I did not remember.
Yeah,
I think Melos or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So Alicent comes to get her for the royal hunt. Even though it's been 3 years, you can see that Rhaenyra holds resentment towards Alicent for keeping her relationship with her father a secret. The battle of power between Alicent and Rhaenyra is clear when Alicent wants the singer to leave and Rhaenyra wants him to stay, but because Alicent has a higher rank, he listens to her.
It was this was incredible, and it was sad at the same time. Like, man, it's like your princess orders you to stay. You're to stay. Continue playing by order of the princess. Your queen orders you to leave. Ooh, one up. I'm like, And again, as I mentioned before, if it wasn't for basically Alicent kind of holding rank, like calling rank, saying like your queen, like you said, your queen wants you to leave with the singer, and then it just shows the detriment of how the relationship has been in these past 3 years. Because again, episode 1, they were pretty much inseparable, but in episode 3, it's not until it's an order from the king for her to come to the royal hunt that she's, well, since the king, not even my dad, since the king has ordered me to come to the royal hunt, I'll go. And then you can see Allison trying to make a play like to her sympathy. He's like, Rhaenyra, it doesn't need to be this way. We could be, and she just ignores her and just walks past her. Like, and it's sad. And I think the worst part about it to me is it's sad to see how the relationship is now, given how it was in episode one. I also hate how it's kind of, and we don't know it quite yet, but how I feel is Rhaenyra's relationship towards Aegon, because we hear, and later in the episode we just hear he's only referred to as Alicent's son. He's not my brother. He's not your son, father, the heir, the new prince. He's Alicent's son, which it just sucks that that's what it's come to.
I feel like, because there's a line at the end of this that I feel like she will start slowly coming back to her family. But I think right now, she's, again, it's going back to the whole theme of, in my opinion, the great theme of this season, which is like the idea that like the king only sees his daughter as that, his daughter.
Yeah,
Like, he doesn't see her as a potential queen, or even a knight. As she said in episode 2, she would rather be on the battlefield as a knight over being a mother or a wife, which is a big theme in this episode, is the idea of what is traditional and what is not traditional. It's
that's true.
traditional for the eldest daughter to get married, to have children, to pass on the legacy of the family. But what happens when you come up against someone who doesn't want that for themselves?
That's a very good. That's a very good point, because, like you said, deeper into the episode, that discussion, almost something like that. Actually, that very discussion about the theme happens between father and daughter.
Yes,
So,
which we are about to get to,
okay.
because I believe that's where we are on. It's like a celebration
Mhm.
for the king's son. It's
It's
like
his
a,
birthday party. It's a
yeah,
huge birthday party.
dude, it's a huge party. But
Excuse me. It's like one of those birthday parties that you used to see on My Sweet 16. I may be dating myself. And if you know what My Sweet 16 was, high five. You're old. But but yeah, it seems like it's one of those huge My Sweet 16 birthday parties, medieval edition. So like everybody
yeah,
has come
pretty
for
much.
a 2 year old's birthday party. Like you get the whole kingdom for his birthday party, and I loved it. And this was just a little side comment of how Jason said, "Do you remember your birthday party being like this way when you're probably not?" I know I
Probably
don't
not.
remember. I don't remember my 2 year old birthday party being that way. I just had family members and a couple of kids from daycare. That's it. I have people from all over the city coming to say happy birthday to me. I'm just this little brat.
Well, Z, they should have, because you're a special guy, man.
Thank you, thank you. I'm I'm still holding a grudge still 2 years later.
But when questioned about why the king would pick Rhaenyra as his heir, Alicent sticks up for her friend, showing that she still cares for Rhaenyra. And that's the scene I was talking about, where she's like, I can see that she doesn't want this to drive a rift between them,
Yeah.
but it's Rhaenyra who can't get over the fact that the marriage happened. Which, to me, I don't know how I feel about this, because one, I want to start with Alicent, because I don't think she saw that coming. I don't think it was
Mm,
part of her plan.
I don't think it was part of her plan, but I think she knew it was a likely result.
I didn't, because if you see her face in episode 2, she is just as shocked as everyone else in that room is. I
Well,
feel
yeah,
like she was just trying to be nice, and that kindness came into the darkness that Viserys needed. So that's why he chose her. It wasn't because, she wanted power or anything. It's because she actually chose to be nice to someone in need over trying to use them for power.
well, yeah. I don't think it was her aim for power, her quest for power. It was 1000% her dad. It was
It
her.
was Otto,
She,
yeah.
it was completely Otto that put her in that predicament. That wanted to build that relationship between Allison and Viserys. And I do agree with you. She seems very surprised that he would choose her instead of Lena, because they had spoke about it in the last episode about like him marrying Lena. But I
Yeah,
think so. I do agree that it caught her by surprise. And I won't say that she was even happy for it. I think the whole breakdown of it is the breakdown of communication between Viserys and Rhaenyra, and Alicent and Rhaenyra. The whole keep. I know it's your daughter. I know you're the king. You don't necessarily have to tell your daughter anything. But
but
he
you
should
should
have.
let her know. It's
He
the communication.
Exactly. He should have let her know. Listen, this is what I'm most likely. I hear what you're going to tell me. You think I should possibly go with Lena, who's 12 years old? Uh, who's 12 years old?
Uh,
But I've been having this kind of relationship with also Allison. I just want to let you know, prepare yourself. I might
Again,
use her.
it's still funny how we like tremble at the 12-year-old, but we're okay with a 15-year-old.
If now she's 17 now, I guess. So
That makes it better.
that's it. Maybe she's 18 because it's been 3 years. 3 years. No, it doesn't make it better, but it's horrible that we go from a 12-year-old to 15-year-old. Like,
So we're like, that's better than nothing.
it's a very low bar that it has to get to.
So to me though, I see both sides to this,
Mm,
and I see why Renara is so mad.
mm.
Because again, it comes down to a theme that we've seen in the last few episodes, which is like the Targaryen family does not know how to communicate with each other, and that's
They
the
do not.
biggest fucking problem.
They do not, and I think that, like you said, is a major big problem. I think it's going to be pretty much a catalyst. You know what? I say Damon and Rhaenyra maybe have a better communication out of
They do.
anybody, but again, they don't talk for years. They don't talk for years at a time, and like you said, it's the communication between all of them if they that is going to pretty much be the breakdown of House Targaryen. Like King Jaehaerys said, the only thing that could destroy the House of Dragon is going to be the House of Dragon itself.
Yep. So next we have Jamie Lannister, Jason Lannister.
You're right.
Pretty
You're not
much.
wrong.
I'm not wrong. Jason Lannister talked with Renara, trying to impress her by saying how beautiful Castle Rock is the home of the Lannisters. But Renara finds out it was all planned to set her up with Jason to be wed, which she confronts her father about. Renara tells her father that she does not want to get married, but he screams back that not even he is above tradition. Renara runs off into the woods with Christian Cole, correct?
Kristen is
Kristen.
Lord Kristen Cole, Sir Kristen Cole. Yeah.
All right, yeah. There we go. With
Mhm.
Cole running after her, Cole reminds Renara that she shapes people's lives, including his, by making him a member of the King's Guard, the highest honor a Cole has ever received.
Mhm.
And
I like. Go
sorry,
ahead.
according to Think Stories video, his name also shows up in Game of Thrones in season 7 in the White Book, honoring the
The Kingsguard members.
the King's Guard members. Yes.
That's going to be something interesting to go back and find out. I wonder if it even happens before then, because I remember there's a scene where Joffrey is uh, like flipping through the book, like, oh, let's see all the Kingsguard and all their great lists, and I wonder if maybe he's in that scene. He's like, oh, look at you, Uncle Jamie Lannister. Yeah, there's nothing next to your name. Yeah, you're not special. There's nothing good about you. He's just rubbing his dad's face. I,
Yep.
I I like this scene very much. I like this whole interaction between Rhaenyra and her dad, because it's almost nobody can get under his skin like she can a little bit. And like you said, not even he has the power to buck tradition. And I
Yep.
like how Otto tries to calm it down by saying Your Grace, and like and he tries to interrupt and like, and we
Changing
got
the subject.
yeah, he gives us the announcement that there's the white heart that's available for the hunt. This should be the greatest, and it's amazing that a white heart would come on Prince Aegon's name day. It's so amazing. I love how Rhaenyra just did her best Batman impression and just disappeared from the
She said,
conversation.
I'm gone.
And like you said, she just ended up running away with Sir Kristen. And I'm kind of conflicted of how I feel about their relationship because part of me, well, maybe let's say a fourth of me wants would like to see them end up together. I think more of me, I think I would love for them to just be great friends. Like, because
Okay.
I feel like he's a good confidant to her a little bit.
I don't
I
know.
feel like
I to
what do you
me,
think?
to me, I would want to see them together only because I feel like they have from episode one they have shown that there is some sort of not sexual tension, but like some sort of
Chemistry?
love chemistry
Yeah,
that's there between them two, especially
agree.
when he's when Cole is going into battle or to joust against Damon, and she gives him the favor. You can kind of see her kind of look back at him like, okay, like you see that. And then in this one, I think what's good about it, this episode, and what's good about it is they actually have a moment to talk and
Hmm.
have a connection with each other. Of like, he sees her as someone of power that's not being controlled by the
Exactly.
power, and that she's able to pick someone out of everybody on the King's Guard, who was offered to be on the King's Guard. She goes with someone who is not of a higher power family, because
So
she
who's
sees that,
lowborn?
yeah, that
Hmm.
sees not only the good in him, but also can also think straight of like, all right, this guy has seen battle before. I need someone who's battle hardened to protect me. And she goes with someone who's best for her, which not only shows how great she is at making these type of decisions, but that she's also a good judge of character.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, Rainier is definitely wise beyond her years, and
Yeah,
I definitely 1,000% agree with you. I think there's been some type of chemistry between the two of them since episode one, since she gave him, I think it's her favor at
favor.
after the joust, and then with her choosing him to be on the King's Guard, and this I think this episode also proved like it would do almost anything to protect her and then make her feel better. And because I love the line whenever she was talking about Jason Lannister and how her father wants her to marry Jason.
Oh
Blah
yeah,
blah
and
blah.
he goes, should I kill him?
Yeah, he's like, "Do you want me to kill him?" And it's like you're not sure if he's serious or not.
And then they laugh.
And even though she looks at him like, and then she just splashed smiling. That to me is just like you get where I'm coming from. And I
Yeah,
don't think she was serious, but it just seemed very. I like the way the relationship is forming, and I definitely hope that doesn't go toward to the dark side of it. So
I don't think it will. I actually
yeah,
think, to be honest, I could see uh, becoming almost like the Jon Snow of this series, or he's kind of the common guy. You know what I mean? He's kind of
yeah,
someone you can root for and kind of have his own stories going along, protecting Renara from behind,
agree. I
which
see
would
where you're
actually
coming
be great because of the Targaryen connection that Jon has as well.
from.
So
Mhm.
kind of give us like the everyman as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who they said his father and mother was, but I think it was his father was like a steward of Lord Dundarian's house or something like that, and I don't quite remember. So, but I don't think he comes from any, like you said, he's like we were talking about, he's lowborn. I don't think anybody. He may be a bastard in somebody's house. To tell you the truth, and that might be something that may be revealed later throughout the season. That'd
Yeah.
be a very good twist.
So next we have, in my opinion, one of the greatest scenes of this episode. Jason Lannister asks the king for his blessing to marry Rhaenyra when he mistakenly says that she will feel quite comfortable for her loss of status, which confuses the king, and he tells Jason that Rhaenyra will be queen and that he did not choose her on a whim. Again, the whole idea of like, I don't know what you're talking about. I am not going to replace my daughter
Mhm.
for my son who is 2 years old. I'm not going
Exactly.
to do that.
And it kind of shows. I think well, for anybody else, it should have showed that the realm is talking about this. The realm. Yes, they did bow down to Rhaenyra when you named her heir, but now that you have a son, hey, we're all talking about me and the guys. We're all thinking that you're going to name Aegon your heir, and like you said, seriously, like, wait, why would I do that? No, I named my daughter my heir, and it kind of shows. I like how he stands up for his daughter. I love how he stands up for his daughter, but it also shows kind of how out of touch he is with his people as well. Like, ugh, this is not a good look, my guy. Like, wow.
I don't know. I feel like what's great about this show so far is that they can write a great balance with
Mhm.
guys like Viserys, where it's like he loves his daughter so much, and you can
Yes.
clearly tell he's
Yeah.
bad at communicating with her. But as someone said, like every king has had problems with his daughters. I don't remember who said it, but he was like he was like all kings have had problems with their daughters, so you're not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing a lot, but
I know what you mean. I remember somebody saying it. And I'm not sure this episode or the episode before. Was it
I'm
this
trying to
episode?
see.
Was it Otto or Lord
Lionel
Strong?
Strong, I believe.
Yeah, Lord Strong. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's also bad at communicating with her, but I also feel like that's where the bad communication comes in. Because, like, he sees his daughter not as his daughter anymore. Or not just his daughter anymore. He sees her as a possible queen, but he cannot tell her that. He cannot tell his daughter that.
Mhm.
For some reason, the communication between them is very toxic because they won't talk to each other.
Yeah.
But if they did, they would understand each other. Like he is teaching her to become queen, but she does not see it that way. She sees it as he's replacing me with my half brother, and that's where we come into the. I feel like with Renara finding that out when she does find it out, I think that will mend not only her relationship with her father, but with her brother as well.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I definitely don't. I definitely would hate to see Rhaenyra turn against her brother, who's now only 2 years old. But like as he gets older, I would like to see them build more of a better relationship than like the brother and sister combo that we're used to with Viserys and Dany or something like that. I would actually
Yeah.
like them to be a loving relationship.
So next we have Lionel Strong. I
Mhm.
can't read
Yeah, that's
today.
his name.
Lionel Strong suggests that Rhaenyra should marry the oldest son of the Valerians, Lenor. Is it Lenor?
Yeah, Lanor or Laner,
Lenor,
yeah.
yeah, Lenor Valerian, as it would be the perfect match, as the Valerians are noble and affluent, and a marriage would mend the relationship between the Targaryens and the Valerians.
And it's amazing how I'm like, you know what? I'm about that. That actually makes sense. Yes, she's 17, and thankfully now he's 14 or 15. That makes more sense. People 14, 17, too young to
Not
get married.
not
Sure,
15 and 12.
yeah, exactly. That's better. That's better. But like not 36 and not 36 and 12. How like the age gap between Viserys and Alicent or whatever. But they're pretty close. And then when we actually meet the homeboy, I like Laner a lot.
I do too.
Like he, I hate he's gonna be one of my favorite characters in the future. I hope, but I'm not gonna worry because I hopefully that doesn't they don't just kill him off somehow. But yeah,
Well,
this makes a lot of
whenever
sense
we
right
have
here.
favorites, they always die, Z. So,
Exactly. That's why I have to knock on wood just to be safe. But
yep.
I think this was a very good idea. And again, I think if as disgusting as it was in our heads, in political sense, it would have made a lot more sense for
Yeah.
him to marry Lena back then in episode 2. But he followed his heart pretty much, and again that's going to lead to where it ends up where it may pretty much like we don't know where it's going to well we do know it's going to end up in the war somehow, but I feel like that's the moment when he lost his kingship, when he lost his credibility pretty much.
Yeah, because as much as I love the king and I love his decisions, for
Mm,
that time, not only pissing off one of the richest families, but
mm.
then turning around and having a woman be your heir
Well, yeah,
are
and you
two
know
things that are shaky political wise.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah, because it's like he made two shaky decisions back to back by choosing Rhaenyra as his heir in episode one, then by marrying Allison in episode two, and or saying he's going to marry Allison in episode two, and basically uh, blackballing the Corlys and the Valerians, and pretty much pushing him to the side of Daemon,
Yeah,
to Daemon's side and stuff. So, like you said, like, because I'm pretty sure Corlys pretty much just left the small council that day. Like that was his
yeah,
last day on the council. So yeah, he made himself weaker in both instances. And I wouldn't even think that if he would have chosen Lane in episode two, there possibly could have been a way that I think everybody would have been better with Rhaenyra being named the heir, because again, while he would have wanted to have his while he would have, of course, wanted an heir between his daughter and the king. Hurts me so much to say that, but I think if Rhaenyra turned out to be queen, and let's say his daughter was going to be the future, what was the queen at that time? I think it would have been a lot better relationship for all of Westeros. But alas, that's what shoulda, coulda, woulda. It didn't happen.
yeah. So after I finish these notes here, I do have a question that we can end off the episode with.
Okay, cool.
So we go on to the king receives a note from Vaemon Valerian, brother of Corlys, asking the king for aid to help in the battle. Viserys doesn't know if he should send aid because of how it will extending help to those who betrayed him. And Allison asked him, is it better that Crabfeeder thrives or if he's killed? Again, love the connection between Allison and Viserys,
Hmm.
because you can clearly see that she is the brains of this operation.
Pretty
Because
much, yeah.
he wasn't thinking straight. The king was just thinking of how it would look to others, not
Hmm.
thinking of what would be better for the kingdom, for King's Landing. And when he had Allison saying, would you rather not send help, feed your ego, and then have Craftier take over? Or cut in, nip it in the ass and send help, kill this guy, and we can go back and fix this later.
Exactly. Yeah. She really is the voice of reason at that moment. Because even at the fact is, his mind at that point is all. It's pretty much all about Rhaenyra and like her being married and like who she
And
should
he's
marry her to.
hungover as fuck.
Yes, he's so going. I love how he said, "I indulged myself a little bit too much last night." And and Allison's like, "Well, that's all right." And then she's like, "It was good wine." And he's like, "It was some good wine."
It was a
But
good one.
he's so caught up in between, because even though she came there to initially to talk to him about Rhaenyra, and I like how basically she did a good thing for both the realm and for her friend, because like she said, you had to make Rhaenyra feel like it's her choice of who she wants to marry.
Yes.
If you want her to marry, she's gonna have to choose who she wants to marry.
That scene
Um,
was so good. I'm sorry, with her and her
Agreed.
father. That
Mhm.
scene of like, if you have to wed, have it be your choice.
Yeah, and well, I definitely want to talk about that more in a little bit, but just right here with Allison, it to me right now it seems like she's a good queen, and she's a good yin, is it yin or yin to
His yang.
Viserys' yang? Yeah, like oh he's thinking small, she's thinking well, like you said, she mentions, is it better for the realm if the crab feeder like gathers more power, or is it would it be better for the realm if you went to go ahead and take him out? Like you said, she makes him look at the bigger picture in a whole, and basically it's what he chooses to do. He chooses to send aid because of pretty much her. She's the one that pretty much attempts to save the day at least.
Yeah.
Oh, but also
Um.
just the scene where I saw that he had his two fingers missing, like the
See, I
finger
didn't
that
see that. Nice,
yeah,
nice touch.
it was a moment whenever he was I think when he was grabbing the ladder to give to her or something, I noticed that he had that at first I saw this finger and I'm like, wait, okay, so that finger is gone, but then I saw he only had three on that left hand. I'm like, oh man, what happened?
So that
Like,
means the grayscale or whatever, the illness from the poison from the swords is not only
Yeah,
affecting one body part, it's spreading to the rest of his body.
exactly. It is. Like, man, like,
Man, the
yeah,
attention of detail in this show is incredible because you
it
can go
is.
back and see and notice a lot of different stuff.
Mhm.
Um, should we go into the scene with Renara talking to Viserys?
Yeah, yeah. Because you say what you wanted to say about that, but I felt there was something that I really loved about this scene, and even though we've already touched on it, but go ahead and say what you were gonna say about it first.
Oh, I love every time they're on screen together. I think the chemistry of the actors are really, really good because
But agree.
you can clearly feel some sort of connection between the actors, and it comes off on screen. But I love how they're talking back and forth, and again, the communication it rises into a screaming match.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like this is kind of the talk that they've needed to have in these past 3 years that they obviously never did after though. And while again, this is where she mentions like she talks about Rhaenyra talks about this is her fear is pretty much that you're just looking to replace me. You want to marry me off, and why not marry me off to somebody that's going to the highest bidder who's going to give you the most. And I love how he says he tries to calm her down. Like, listen, that's not my intention. I'm not just trying to bid you up. I want to see you happy. I want to see you content. And she says, and you think a man would do that? But
Again,
mm,
yeah, yeah.
I'm
Is
like,
that line hitting us something? Because we have said it from episode one that
I
there's
think
something up
so.
with her.
That was a very nice line that they. I love her looks. You think a man would do that, or you think I meant? I might be paraphrasing, but I just
No,
love that.
no, you said it right. And you think a man would do that?
Yeah, and then she's like, and it's just that they're going back and forth, and like you said, screaming. And it was the moment where when he's talking about I think I forgot how he let it in, like talking about waiting for advantage, and then she jumps on it like listen, if we were going to if it was for advantage, then you would have wed Lena Valerian.
And he said,
Yeah, you're
"You're
right.
right." He said,
Yeah,
"Yeah, yeah, you're right. I
it's a
would."
mic drop moment. It's like yes, you're 100% right. Like if it and I think that was the moment that even though it was his talk with Allison that led him to have this big conversation with Rhaenyra, I think that's the moment was like, yeah, my daughter needs a lot more autonomy than I've given her in the past, and I hope this is a really good opening door. Uh, yeah, a good first step to their relationship being a lot better than
Yeah,
it is. And again, I hope it'll be a better relationship between and not just Allison's son, like she mentioned, but maybe she'll start looking at Aegon as her brother. However, I fear the king spoke a little bit too much whenever he mentioned he made her that promise saying that I promise on your mother's memory I'm not going to replace you. I hope you mean that, even though I fear he doesn't. I fear he
I
means it in the moment, but I fear that's not going to be the case.
I actually feel like it. Which again, the question I have does surround this, so we'll come back to it in just a second. But I do love how Allison is in the last two episodes. She's the one who has to convince Renara and Viserys to talk to each other, to
Hmm.
communicate what you want to say to each other.
You're
She's
right.
the one pushing it.
You're right because it was her in last episode too that mentioned like what did she mention that her yeah because she mentioned it to Viserys like you should go talk to her if you talk to her I'm sure she'll be open and that's when he mentions like I would be braver facing Valerian the Dread than I would be talking to my own daughter
Yep.
and I think she talks to Ray I think when she talks to Rhaenyra at the when they're at the temple at the set
The
in front
temple.
of the
Yeah.
yeah at the temple and she also, like you said, whispers in her ear that she needs to talk to her father and
Which
tell
again
her.
shows me that there's not an ill intent.
Yeah,
Because if this yeah,
there's
because
no maliciousness
yeah,
for
because
now.
if there was one time I could say, okay, they were friends, so
Hmm.
that's okay. But she has no reason to, especially after 3 years of Renard probably just hating her guts,
Yeah,
to have them communicate with each other now. You know what I'm saying? So the
Yeah.
time jump actually helps there because it's like, okay, there is something nice about Alicent that I hope we don't see her turn into a Cersei. I don't want to see
Yeah.
that.
Me neither. Me neither. And I do agree with you. I feel like while Rhaenyra has taken these last 3 years more personally, I feel like Allison has been more remorseful and has wanted to build that bridge, and she hasn't taken it personally. I think she completely understands why Rhaenyra feels the way she feels.
Yeah,
I do like you hope though that it doesn't turn sour, which I fear it does. I fear it's going to be because of her father eventually, but again, the way that we're time jumping, who knows when that will happen? Because again, I hope they actually maybe play a little bit closer in episode 4, like they maybe only a year time jump, or because I would
yeah,
actually love to see what happens between the end of this episode and what possibly could happen next episode. But
yeah.
yeah, and what's going to be the fallout of that?
So going on to the end of the episode, so we have the final scene of the episode is the Surge of Bloodstone. Craft Eater and his army are protected as long as they're hiding in the caves of Bloodstone. But things aren't looking good. Damon receives a message from his brother that says he will send 10 ships and 2,000 men to aid in the battle. He beats the living fuck
Hell!
out
Oh
of
my god!
that messenger.
I love how Damon's like, I do believe in killing the messenger. Why? Yeah, it's just definitely he didn't kill the guy, but
You
yeah,
you polarized the fuck out of that guy with your with his helmet.
with his helmet, yeah, it took other people like, yo, Damon, chill, chill, chill. Like, man,
I love the scene because the audio drops and it's dead silent, and you just see like slow motion of Damon just close up of him beating the fuck out of the messenger.
hmm
Um, but I see this because to Damon the whole thing, the whole moving to Dragonstone and all that was to show everyone that he could thrive without his brother. So getting help from his brother just sends him off the edge because he wants to prove
yeah.
that he made a mistake, that he could be the heir to the throne.
It's like he's like, I can do this. I don't need my brother's help. It's like it's almost like that was the best thing that Viserys could do in the situation. Because yes, was Laenor's plan pretty much that they execute, but maybe David may or may not have gone for it. But when he saw that his brother was going to send help, no, I don't need Viserys' help. I got this. We got this. And it's like David went from 0 to 60 real quick.
Yeah, so now we move on to the actual like closing battle, which is a really beautiful looking battle. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm just laughing because I remember watching somebody's reaction video these past 2 days, and I just remember how we saw Damon like dodging all the arrows and stuff with all the archers who are literally above him, and they're just shooting at him. And somebody I can't remember who, so forgive me who if they haven't been watching this, but I remember saying like Rickon, this is how you dodge an arrow. I'm like, yep. Like Rickon, all you had to do, Rickon, was by the way, Damon was dodging hundreds of arrows in the scene, and he doesn't get hit to pretty much the end. He gets hit by maybe 2 or 3 of them, I think.
Yeah,
But
3 arrows.
I'm like, man, that had me cracking up.
Yeah, he didn't like Bob Weaver or anything. He just went straight running.
Yes, and he was not getting hit, and he was just like you said, he wasn't ducking or diving, but he you can see little changes in his pattern a little bit. Like if an arrow was about to land here, he would maybe move a little bit over here and just kept going. He was full steam ahead and fighting at the same time. This was
I
definitely
mean,
the best.
I could also excuse that by like Damon at this point is battle tested. Like he has so
Oh
many.
yeah,
He's been in so many battles that to him, to us, it may look stupid, but to him, he knows exactly where to run and where to
oh yeah,
dodge. Where he knows which way to dodge when arrows are coming.
oh yeah. I definitely didn't think it was stupid. I thought it was wise. I thought it was badass how Damon was
Yeah,
how he's doing this. It's almost like you say he's battle tested. It's like he knows it. Like you said, it's like he knows where the arrow is going to be before it gets there. And It's not, and I don't think it's. I think it's only because he's fighting that he ends up getting hit at the last by
Yeah,
those last three arrows because he just like killed somebody and then bop 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 he gets hit by those arrows. So he
yeah,
was kind of distracted at that moment. But other than that, he was a one man wrecking crew. It kind of reminded me of, and here we are crossing the streams again, but completely different. There's an episode of The Punisher. I think it was episode one. Either the finale episode one, or like penultimate episode, when everybody was like like going after Frank Castle, and like they were, and he was in their hideaway, and like they
yeah,
were all trying to charge him and stuff. It was one man against like maybe 20 people, 15 or 20 people of Agent Orange got one of just guys, but Frank was like he was ready. He knew what was about to happen. He was just killing people left and right. And I think even in this thing, Daniel was taking other people's swords and their
yeah,
daggers to kill other people. I'm like, this is great, and that's what that kind of reminded me of, like how Frank just mowed down all of Agent Orange people. So
yeah.
this is an incredible ending sequence right here.
Yeah, so as I have here, Damon uses himself as bait, waving a white flag to lure Crabfeeder out of the caves. Crabfeeder sees that this might be a trap and looks to the sky for Dragon. I love how smart they made him because they could have easily had him run out there, but he
Agree.
looked up into the skies, made sure that there was no dragons there, and instead of sending his whole army, he sent a few guys out there
At a
just
time, exactly.
as bait to test the waters to see if something was coming.
Yeah, his problem was he sent too few people at a time. Because, like you said, he maybe send like 10 people at a time. Like Damon would kill those 10. Then he would send another 10. Then he would kill those 10. Maybe he would send out 20 at a time. Maybe 20 at a time. Maybe he would have been had a better chance. But like you said, I thought it was brilliant by Prince Drahar. I'm gonna call him that for now, by the Craft Eater, and just how he was smart about it. Like you said,
Yeah.
he was testing the water, and it was, I think, after every time he would send out a person, because I think he did it 3 times, maybe three or
Yeah,
4 times, like 10 at a time. That he would look up,
just to be sure.
look up, exactly, just to make sure that there was no dragon. But it wasn't until Damon gets hit that he said, "Oh, okay, we got his ass now. Everybody,
And
go,
yeah,
go, go,
yeah,
go."
right when the 3 arrows hit Damon, which I have it right here, he thinks that the coast is clear and sends the rest of his armies out, which allows Damon and his new dragon, Sea Smoke. By the way,
Yeah, but no, that's the thing about it. That's not Damon's dragon, though.
is it not?
No, that was Lanor's
Oh
dragon.
no, who was? I'm sorry.
Lanor's dragon, and it took me a while to realize, like, wait, he can ride dragons, but then I remember his mama's a Targaryen.
Yeah, yeah. His mother's a Targaryen.
Yeah, so I'm sure, like, whatever kind of skills she had, if she could ride dragons, she's gonna pass that. She's gonna taught him how to ride a dragon. So I'm like, wait, who's this? I'm like, when I see the white hair, I'm like, I know it's not Rhaenyra, and I'm like, that's homeboy, that's Corlys' son, Laenor. I'm like, I
Yep.
like this kid. He's smart, and then he's a badass because he pretty much strafes and takes out all the archers and stuff, and like,
Yeah,
it's a brilliant plan.
yeah. So sorry about that. That was my mistake.
No, you
Um,
good.
but Sea Smoke attacks and wipes out most of the army. After everyone is defeated, we see Damon going into the cave, and when we see him again, we see him with crab feeders. So
Yeah, and this kind of sucked in a way because I wish we would have got a bigger battle between the Craft Eater and Damon. But I mean, there's two ways that, again, I'm kind of looking at it. Damon's just that damn good, and he was able to take him out
that's what I
like
think.
just like that. However, the more malicious part of me over here, the kind of tinfoil hat theory is like, I wonder if maybe, like, again, because he sent all the people to kill Damon. He sent all his people out there to kill Damon, which I thought was very interesting of how they really just lined up in a circle and was waiting for Damon. Like, whenever all his army got out there, and Damon was just underneath those bones and he was ready to fight, but it was like they were just all lined up and they didn't charge him right away. They all just lined up to, I guess, charge him at once. But my tinfoil hat side of me was thinking, okay, like, is it the Craft Eater in the case? Like, okay, your plan's good. Like, Damon and the Craft Eater have been in cahoots this whole time, and just kind of been a ploy to weaken his brother's reign to make him look weak. Now, of course, this is completely out of left field, and this is just a random theory of mine. But I just want to be the one that says it just does happen to turn out to be true. I just want to be the one to say I called it. So
So,
I,
so you're saying
I
who works with Craft Eater?
the craft feeder's been working for Damon this whole time, and that it's all been a ploy. Yeah, like I think that would be very interesting if it turns out to be the craft feeder has been working for or maybe with Damon this whole time, basically the weekend. I was about to call him Aegon, Viserys' reign over the whole Seven Kingdoms, or to actually not even weaken his reign to make him look more weak because unfortunately Viserys has made himself look a little weak already in the past two episodes. And again, we've talked about it because I think since the beginning of the episode, it's been 3 years and 6 months, I think, that the series has been going on since the beginning of the episode. So Viserys has pretty much made himself look weak a little bit. But I would not be surprised if somehow Damon and the Craft Eater have been in cahoots and he did all that to make Viserys' reign look weaker. Again, very far fetched theory. Very far
Yeah,
fetched theory.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
That was in your mind, though.
yeah,
I want to point that. I want everybody that's watching. It's like, wait, no, no. And then
maybe though. I don't know.
because and the reason why I said that I even thought that was because it's like he went in there and he came back out like 2 minutes later. And again, yes, he's that much of a badass, but maybe he said, my work has been done, master. Kill me.
See,
He just slice.
the way I look at it is that Craft Eater. I don't think we've ever seen him really get challenged.
No, he's been. We've seen him.
He's always taking people by surprise. He's able to overpower them. But if you notice, it's not him that's doing it. It's his crew. My
Exactly.
theory is that he's the mastermind behind everything. He wants to do as little as possible and cause the most carnage. So when most of his army gets destroyed, I think that weakens him enough because he runs back into the cave. I feel like hand to hand, he couldn't
Oh
go
yeah.
up against Damon. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
it
No way.
was easy for Damon just to waltz in, kill him, and then walk out. Not only does
Okay.
it make Damon look strong as hell, but it shows that while Craft Eater is a great villain when it comes to being a tactician, where he's able to be like, I'm gonna send you guys out, look to the skies to make sure no one's there. When it comes to hand, when he's the only man standing, he is weakest.
Yeah, that's very true. Because like you said, we've never seen him have any type. I don't think he's ever really got his hand dirty in these past two episodes, other than his people fight and then he hammers them down, the
Yeah,
nails into people's hands. That's it. So
yeah.
yeah,
So
he
I
starts to
think
killing blow
the whole
mayhem.
idea was that Damon knew if he could get rid of the army, it would have an easier time taking out
Oh
the
yeah, him,
the
Craft
head.
Eater. Agreed. I definitely agree with you on that. Like, I don't think he was definitely any type of physical mastermind. Even though I still would have loved to see the moment, but
I don't
that's
know.
not one of
I'm
those things
actually
that's
glad
gonna.
we didn't see it because we had such a great battle beforehand. I feel like another battle on top of that would have been kind of overkill. Plus, again, just going off of what Corey had said, there is a line in the novels that says something like Damon destroys Craft Eater, but instead of him slicing his torso and coming out with it, he comes out with his head.
that that would make sense. But I feel like it doesn't give the same image as holding somebody's head versus holding up somebody's body up, slicing in half by the hand. That to me sends
Yeah.
a better message.
Yeah, and by the way, if you notice, Damon is standing almost like where the prizes are, like out of the cave, but he looks like
Mhm.
he's holding like treasure,
Oh, I didn't notice that. Wow. Okay. I
and
did.
he's like standing there like he has a prize
Mhm.
almost.
But one other thing I like to say about this scene is and kind of the similarities of the two of them. I love how again Damon was drenched in the Crafty's blood when he came out and dropped the body. similar to how Rhaenyra was earlier in the episode. After she had killed the boar, her and
Yeah,
Kristen Cole, she just comes marching back, and she just walks past everybody, blood soaked all on her hair and stuff. Hair is white and red. She said, I don't give a damn. I'm just walking. I'm just walking. Here, I brought y'all dinner. I brought y'all breakfast.
there's
Boom.
actually a really cool scene that I didn't write notes for, but as you said, they talked about the white deer.
Mhm. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and the whole idea of like when a white deer comes, you kill it in honor of a birthday or celebration. And
mhm.
what does she do when Cole goes to kill the white deer? She tells him no, let him go.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, because the whole thing was that it was supposed to be the legendary White Heart. I forgot that's even my name, Blackheart, Whiteheart. Yeah, and like that was the uh, uh, whole reason, pretty much, for the royal hunt, because they thought that a white heart meant so much prosperity, and they thought it was so great for and such a regal presence for
Yeah,
our future king, possible for future Prince Aegon's name day. That's amazing. But I love how it turned out to be just a regular old stag for Viserys, but it was the Whiteheart actually came to Rhaenyra and Kristen when they were just sitting there.
I
And
think
like I
that's
said,
huge foreshadowing. I
I think so too. I think it's very huge for showing, and I think
didn't.
it's the
Yeah,
if Rhaenys was the queen who never was, Rhaenyra should definitely be the queen who should. Maybe in my eyes, the queen who should. But I thought that spoke volumes of how the White Hart came, and it's like, and it was. I love how you mentioned like when she told Cole to say, "No, don't kill it." He was about to kill it, and it's just like Rhaenyra and the stag heart was just looked like eyes to eyes. It's like, I got you, and he just walked away. I'm like, it was like a sign of mutual respect between man and animal, or woman and animal.
which we've
I
seen
love that.
actually a lot when it comes to Rhaenyra.
And,
Her and her
and he,
dragons have a great connection. I think her and a lot of animals, besides that boar, have a lot of connection.
Yeah, and you know, again, this also brought back memory of how I mentioned last week. Rhaenyra and Arya have a bunch of similarities to me. It reminded me of the last scene between Arya and Nymeria in season 7 of Game of Thrones, of how they had that how they had the final goodbye. And yes, while there was a bigger connection between the two of them, you know, direwolves and the house animal being direwolf. But I mean, they hadn't seen each other since season 1 of Game of Thrones, and for season 1, season 7, they had been away from each other. So it was just a connection between that, and but it just seemed like they have Rhaenyra has the same type of respect towards the heart that Arya had toward Nymeria.
I also wonder if that was a sign of Rhaenyra like accepting Aegon as her brother because she knows how special it is for a white heart to be on a special day, and instead of Cole taking that away, she wanted it to roam free. That way, it's still out there in case he wants to kill it one day.
That's a very good point, and I would like for that to be the case. That would be a very nice thing to look back on if that is the case. I just don't know if she was feeling that way just yet because it's in the episode. It's later in the episode how she mentioned how she still refers to him as Allison's son, not my brother. But that could be a very good thing in the future. Like if we see him on if we see it on maybe his 5th name day or something, they go for another hunt. I would love for actually the two of them to be the ones to take out the stag or
That would
something,
be
or take out,
great.
yeah, a little brother sister bunny like that.
Yeah. So to me, I love how with one animal, I'm able to gain a lot of different ideas of like, well, what does that mean? You know, like
Agreed.
is she saving it for her brother, or is she kind of defying her father by saying, "Don't kill him"? Like, because
Mhm.
that's you know the whole idea is that you kill the white heart and it means good luck. So he's like, "Don't kill him, just let him go," as
Mhm.
kind of a fu to her father.
Yeah, I also thought also it could have been just it could have been a respect thing or just for the fact I know this is a deer that my father is looking for my brother's name for Aegon's name day. Let it go out. I think it's much as more of a respect thing, but it could be any of those scenarios.
Yeah,
And again, that's like I think that's credit to the episode of how we're able to draw so many possible conclusions and possible thoughts from just this one scene, just one
Yeah.
maybe 3-minute scene.
So being honest, after going back through the episode and looking at my notes, this might be my favorite episode of the 3 right now.
Okay.
I like all the connections of not only the family of Damon and his missions, but like, you know, the story of Renara becoming her own woman in this episode of like, not only does she want to buck tradition and say, I don't want to get married, but the whole idea of like, you know, her taking out her frustrations and all her anger out on that boar that attacked her, only because that's the only way she can get released without, going crazy, because she's supposed to be a higher power. She's supposed to be regal and royal. But we see a vicious moment of her just trying to get all this anger out so she can feel better, and even that didn't help her at all.
Yeah, she loses her cool at that moment. When that board comes back to life, you see her just snap like snap, like just going kill her. Like, yeah, I agree with you on that. She completely she was completely releasing her anger at that point. But then again, I'm glad she got some of it, I think, on the board, but she didn't get all of it out.
Yeah,
I do agree with you. It's still not my favorite. Now was talking more about. I probably put it as number 2. Because I still love episode 2 the most so far. Because right now, nothing is topping that Dragonstone scene between Otto and Damon, and then Rhaenyra coming up. Like,
that's a great scene.
That was such an epic moment. Just the moment how she walked back. It's like, listen, okay, this is how you get the egg, bitch. And she looked back at Otto like, that's how you get it done. Like, I loved it. And so it's gonna be hard to. I hope something does eclipse that as we get throughout the future episodes, and I'm sure something will, especially when we get to episode 9, because episode 9s are usually famous in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, because they're like either like big battle scenes or battle episodes, aren't they?
Exactly. Episode 9 is usually the biggest episodes compared. I think
that means episode 9 is probably going to be the Targaryen Civil War battle. I'm calling it.
Possibly, yeah. Probably so, yeah. Or maybe, or somebody's gonna die in episode 9. Somebody major. I'm calling it now. Is probably gonna die. Is going to die in episode 9.
Oh
I don't know who, but somebody major will.
So, to me, a scene that rivals that Dragonstone scene in episode 2 is in this episode. To me, it's Daemon with the white flag, his sword out, and a giant army coming towards him, as saying, okay, I see what Daemon's doing, but the image of him standing on the mountain, white flag in hand, turns it down, has his sword out, and then they come close, and he fucking takes them all out. My God, that scene was so good.
The bad thing about this, I'm like, I was looking at the scene, I'm like, guys, like, oh my God, he's giving you his sword, but do y'all not see that huge ass dagger right there on his right hip, right? And then he turns his back to him too. I'm like, oh, you deserve to die. like you deserve everything that's about to happen to you. Because there was not one moment like, okay, Damon, I know he's not about to really give up. But when he out his sword, I'm like, okay, is he gonna take their sword? But then when I saw that dagger, I'm like, oh yeah, he's about to kill their ass. And then just how that warrior took the sword and was like, it's like he turned back to Crappy. You're like, hey, Dad, General, I got his sword. And Damon just grabbed that knife. That dagger just fight. And like, again, that was an amazing thing. That was a whole amazing, like, last 10 minutes of the episode, I think.
Yeah, so I think that whole ending battle is what kind of makes this my favorite episode, because it was episode 2 is so good because we got a lot of intrigue when it comes to like political power.
Yeah.
This one I feel is better only because we got that same political power struggle with a last 10-minute battle scene.
Agree. I do see what you mean there. Like this one gave us a balance of both the political side, the politicking, and also the fighting, the war, and a little mini battle at the end.
Yeah,
I can see that. I can understand that. But I don't think any of these episodes have been at all bad.
No.
Just not at, any of these have. None of them have been bad, or probably even below an A grade. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So far, House of Dragons off to a great start. One thing that I think we can mention now, since we're toward the end, I think I saw something this past week that Miguel Sapochnik is leaving House of
Yeah, he's
Dragon for
even a
season two.
showrunner.
Yeah, which kind of sucks. But I think I don't know the guy's name, who's the new showrunner pretty much now, who's currently on the show now. But hopefully it'll still be in good hands. And
Oh, I have no
in season
doubt.
two. Yeah,
I feel
I
like
know.
I feel confident enough with the team behind the
Hmm.
show that even if one person leaves, I feel okay enough that it'll be okay going forward.
Yeah, I just think I definitely think it will be. I just hate that Miguel's leaving, even though I understand that he has a life. He needs a life outside this, and this probably puts a lot on him.
Oh yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, he did one of my favorite episodes of Game of Thrones ever, which was Hard Home, episode 8 of season 5.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
love that episode. So
Okay.
I think he was the writer or director on that episode too. So
He's been with
uh,
Game of Thrones a long time then.
yeah, yes, he's been there. He's been with them for a while. Even during the Benny Hoff and Wise days. I think that's her name.
Okay. So the question I want to leave us off on is, where do you think the throne is going to go? Who do you think is going to be on the throne by the end of the season?
Allison.
Really?
Yeah, I think something's going to happen where Aegon's not of age yet, and somehow
Unless they do
they
like
still.
a 10-year jump next episode, we don't know.
Well, yeah, exactly. They could easily do that, but since he's only 2 now, I think you have to. I know Tommen was a young king, but
Tommy
I
was
think
like 14, I think.
yeah, he was like 14 or 15. So I think you would have to at least do 12 years to get Aegon on the throne.
They're
But I
like,
think
okay, 12 years later.
But I think something's going to happen between either Viserys and Otto, and Alicent is going to like make him change his mind to name Aegon as heir, or like his small council is going to change his mind. Which again makes me really sad that he said that last line to Rhaenyra, like, "I promise on your mother's memory, I'm not going to supplant you." Or I think something's going to happen in the background, because if you remember, in the season one, episode 9 or 10 of no, episode 8 or 9 of Game of Thrones, of how Robert Baratheon had named Ned to be his heir until Joffrey became of age. But seriously, pretty much rip, rip, rip. If something like that happens, even though everybody knows Rhaenyra should be heir, but if some kind of forgery comes out that said that Viserys had actually named Rhaegon heir, Rhaegon, Aegon his heir, just behind the scenes or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised, but since Aegon's not of age, that's going to put Alicent on the throne somehow, for at least for the moment, temporarily.
Okay.
Especially since she's the queen right now. But for some reason, I don't see Rhaenyra being on the throne, which I think is going to pretty much be a feel for what Targaryen Civil War.
Okay, so see, I'm going different. I'm going with the obvious answer. I'm going Rhaenyra on the king, on the
I hope
throne.
so.
Only because, and in this episode, they made it seem that way. Not only does she's already the heir, so that's kind of obvious. But they go out of their way to show you the king trying to teach Rhaenyra how to be the queen. And I don't see them doing all that and not giving her the throne. But another reason, I go back to the White Hart, the White Stag.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like, as you said, the stag chose to go towards her.
Mm-hmm.
For what reason? You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah.
Why would the White Stag go straight to her? Out of everybody in that wood.
Well, yeah, I think she's the obvious queen who should. That's why I dubbed her as she's the queen who should, or the queen who should be the queen, or whatever. But I think she's definitely the best choice out of everybody in the round to be the queen. I just would not be surprised if it gets taken away from her somehow this season.
Could be. I just
Listen, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Rhaenyra is actually the queen at the end. But there's just something in the back of my head that says some
yeah,
tomfoolery is going to happen. that's gonna,
tomfoolery.
yeah, that's gonna keep on that drum.
And
And again,
last
I think
question:
yeah, go ahead.
do you think? Now this is going to be a two-parter question. Do you think that it's going to be revealed that Rhaenyra is actually gay, and that's the reason why she holds resentment towards Allison because she's actually in love with her, and that was taken away? Or do you feel like she's going to get married, but to Cole or someone like that?
I would definitely put Rhaenyra possibly on the buy side of things because I
Yeah,
think there is some type of
bisexual.
yeah, I think there is some type of chemistry, either friendly or sexual chemistry between Rhaenyra and Kristen. However, there's something that happens. This is where I think I'm going to start being like you and not watch watch the next episode
The
things.
times.
Yeah, I strongly and even from season one, even without seeing the snippet, I do think there's a deeper reason. There's a deeper relationship than just friends with Allison, and that's why she feels that way. And that line when she says, "You think a man could do that for me?" That kind of just like, listen, there has to be something more between Rhaenyra and Allison that's going
Yeah,
down. And again, I feel like Allison deeply. I think she likes where she's at, but I think she deeply regrets the kind of relationship between her and Rhaenyra, and
yeah.
maybe just their friendship. But I do think it was more. And I think it'll be revealed sooner or later. Possibly
Either
sooner,
way,
maybe later.
I feel like either way they go is okay.
Mm.
But I
Yeah.
know there's some people who are going to complain about it. Fuck off. Like,
Yes. Oh, some people are gonna. I think more people will complain about it if it is, but then again, there will be the people who complain about if it doesn't turn out to be that way either. But I mean, it's a fantasy show, and then I don't know how they were written in the book. I think the book is Fire and Blood, so don't tell me what happens, but if if they do have a relationship or have had a relationship, I'll be fine with it. If they don't, or if we never know, and this is just literally a theory that they were having a relationship in the past,
yeah,
and we never find out, I'll be okay with that too.
yeah,
Actually, to tell you the
because
truth, that will actually make me read the book. So George, maybe that's what you should do.
so to me, there are a lot of great hints that like maybe there was like maybe they were past lovers.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that would be
Yeah.
really cool to see how they would treat a woman on the throne. But not only that, but a woman who is either bi or gay. You know what I mean? Like how they would handle that, especially in that time period.
Thing is, I don't even. You know what? Never mind. I was about to say I don't think it would be that big of a deal, but yet I completely take that back because I remember Renly having that whole in the main show, Renly and Loras, and how that had to be whole secret and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, it would be a big deal. Yeah, it would definitely be a. Even though I think it shouldn't be, but given how far we're 172 years before that main series, it would probably be a bigger deal if it turned out to be that way. But yeah, I mean, if she turns out to be queen, she may not want a king.
yeah. But I mean, what's interesting is if people find out that she is gay, and maybe that's what ends her reign, and maybe that's what gets her reign scrubbed from the history books. Is that they're like, we can't have that black mark on history, so they erase her name as queen.
Let's just say let's remember this last 6 seconds, this moment for next episode, and that's all I'll say about that. for the month. For our next episode of Beyond the Drones, I want to come back to the same discussion. Let's circle this note that you have, and like just seriously circle this note, and we'll talk about this again next week.
Okay.
Because
So
I'm very interested in where it's going.
So we have a lot of questions and not a lot of answers going into the next. I believe this is 10 episodes, correct?
I think so. Yeah. Thankfully,
Okay.
This is going to episode 4 now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going into episode 4, so we are about almost done, almost halfway done with the season. Can't wait to see what they do with the rest of the season. Can't wait to see what season 2 has in store, guys. If you did enjoy this, hit that like button, subscribe to the Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Join us next week for episode 4 of Beyond the Throne.